So, I've been procrastinating on a few topics, such as the Dark Enlightenment, which I will be bringing to you soon. But I feel that this topic is more urgent than any other at the moment, seeing as Three Eye Atlas is currently hidden behind the sun, and scientists are anticipating what'll happen next. Have you ever wondered about the origin of aliens, ghosts, or demons? Have you ever asked your priest or pastor if the Bible can explain these things, only to come away with no real answers? Well, I don't know about you, but I have. So, I've spent 15 years researching these topics, and I've come away with a very compelling explanation for many of the world's mysteries. I'd like to start a conversation about the things your pastor is afraid to talk about. This is Audra Moore, and you're listening to Evil's Ancient Origins. I really can't wait any longer to address this topic. I've been gathering as much data as I can with the hope that I'd bring you the most complete set of facts available to me and everything that is, up to date, but it just keeps coming at me, and I need to just get this done. But first, let me say, if you believe that we live on a flat surface and that there is no universe, I ask you to stick around anyway, because even if you disagree, it's good. It's always a good idea to expand your understanding of what the scientists are saying, just in the off chance that you might be wrong. I'm not trying to shame anyone. I just think that it's wise to keep an open mind. Okay, so Three Eye Atlas was first detected on July 1st of 2025, and that's only 4 months ago. Initially spotted as a faint, fast-moving object, it was later confirmed to be the third interstellar object we've ever observed. It was discovered by the Atlas Survey Telescope in Rio Hurtado, Chile, and was initially known as A11PL3Z, but was later subsequently renamed Three Eye Atlas after its reclassification as the third interstellar object to be detected. Get it? Three Eye, third interstellar, and Atlas being the telescope which first spotted it. Okay, now, an interstellar object is defined as a celestial body, such as a comet or asteroid, that originates from outside of a star's solar system and travels through interstellar space, which is the region between stars, before entering another solar system. These objects are apparently not gravitationally bound to any star and are considered to be unique because they theoretically could provide a glimpse into the composition and conditions of other solar systems. So the first ever documented interstellar object was discovered by an astronomer in Hawaii on October 19th of 2017. It was named Oumuamua, which means a messenger from afar arriving first, but the name also carries the connotation of being a leader or a scout. So, when I looked it up in a Hawaiian dictionary, the meaning was very interesting. It was defined as the foremost soldier of the front rank in battle, or a scout, one sent forward before a battle to discover the position of the enemy. I find it telling that the first interstellar object we discover would carry such a weighty title. So, like Three Eye Atlas, it turns out that Oumuamua was not considered a comet either because it had no detectable coma. A coma is the atmosphere and trail of gas and dust that forms around a comet as its surface is vaporized from being heated by the sun. But the most fascinating thing about this first interstellar object was that it accelerated as it traveled away from the sun. Scientists say that this acceleration was faster than the mere influence of gravity could explain, leading some to believe that it was exhibiting signs of propulsion. but others speculated that its speed, the speed increase, was because the comet outgassed and it had to be some undetectable gas like hydrogen, which is only visible within the ultraviolet spectrum. So, strange. The second interstellar object was discovered by a Russian amateur astronomer named Gennady Borisov on August 30th of 2019 and was aptly named 2I Borisov. The object did have a cometary coma and tail, but it displayed a significantly higher amount of carbon monoxide gas than any other comet previously exhibited. But 3I Atlas seems to be even more peculiar than either of its predecessors. The first unusual trait is its composition. Scientists detected a high concentration of pure nickel with no iron. You see, in nature, nickel and iron are always coexisting, especially in space rocks such as meteorites and comets. A composition of pure nickel is unheard of in a natural object, but is more consistent with industrial alloys where refinement is required. As a result, the object is unusually reflective. Observations also show that 3I Atlas's surface reflects light with an unusually smooth and brilliant polished metal type, reflection. Natural comets and asteroids do not typically achieve this high degree of uniform reflectivity. An emission spectra revealed a strong presence of nickel plasma, indicating that the object is actually shedding charged particles as it travels through space, even at a cold distance from the sun. So this process, known as ablation, appears to be self-generated. The next peculiarity is its trajectory. The object's path through our solar system is surprisingly close to several planets and the sun, but manages to evade collision with anything. My Google search results state that the probability of this happening naturally is an estimated 1 in 20,000 chances. So, not completely impossible, but definitely improbable. You see, 3I Atlas is in a retrograde orbit, meaning that it is traveling in the opposite direction of the planets in our solar system, making this feat even more suspicious. Another strange fact is that 3I Atlas is approaching at an angle that closely aligns with the elliptical plane of our solar system. Calculations show it is only 5 degrees off, which is uncommon when it comes to meteorites and comets. To recap this one, the object is traveling along nearly the same flat plane that our planets orbit the sun. It is moving in the opposite direction of our orbit, happens to be passing between Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and the sun without colliding with anything, and which all combined is very rare indeed. But then add on to this, it's approaching from the same general direction that we happen to have received a radio transmission that many believe could have come from extraterrestrials, and things really start to seem strange. Avi Loeb, professor of science at Harvard University, theorizes that the object's path through the solar system, being so surprisingly close to the planets, could indicate that it is on a deliberate reconnaissance mission. He also postulates that its current passage behind the sun could be a maneuver to accelerate or decelerate, a phenomenon he relates to the Oberth effect, which he suggests, if it is technological, the object could release smaller probes to observe the planet. He's not calling it an immediate threat, but Loeb insists on collecting more data to determine its true nature, as he believes that the implications of it being alien technology are significant. As for its speed, scientists say the object's hyperbolic trajectory is due to its high velocity, calculating that it is going too fast for the object to become gravitationally bound to the sun. Some are suggesting that this alone means it is being intelligently propelled at a higher speed specifically to avoid this from happening. Another thing to consider is the object's chemical signature. 3I Atlas contains a significant amount of carbon dioxide, which is unusual for an interstellar comet. Scientists originally detected a green glow from the comet, which is typically caused by diatomic carbon in a comet's coma once it has been exposed to ultraviolet radiation. But 3I Atlas lacks this form of carbon, and it doesn't even have a long tail, leaving them questioning the true cause of its greenish hue. However, its coma is overwhelmingly dominated by carbon dioxide, with almost no water like they would normally detect. And the ratio is one of the most extreme ever measured in a comet. In early September, astronomers noted that the comet's tail reversed direction. It was initially pointing toward the sun, which was strange already, and then later changed direction to point away from it. This behavior is unlike typical comets, which historically have all had tails that extend away from the sun. Google states that a comet develops a tail when it approaches the sun, which heats and vaporizes its icy surface, releasing gas and dust to form a temporary atmosphere called a coma. The sun's radiation, pressure, and solar wind then push these gases and dust away from the nucleus, creating two main types of tails: an ion tail, which is straight and points directly away from the sun, and a dust tail, which is curved and follows the comet's orbital path. With this being the usual case for comets, scientists are baffled as the physics causing 3I Atlas to have a tail pointing towards the sun, especially seeing as 3I Atlas isn't composed of ice, is just strange. Furthermore, the size and high velocity of 3I Atlas are unusual as compared to previous interstellar objects. Its size is estimated to be at least 5 kilometers or 3.1 miles in diameter, which is 3 to 5 times more massive than the previously detected Oumuamua and Borisov. Although, lately, somebody said it was much larger than that. So there are conflicting reports on the actual size. Anyway. Some sources suggest that it could be even larger, with one estimating it to be 12 miles wide. So that's massive, but not as big as what I've heard recently. But its velocity is the highest ever recorded for a solar system visitor, coming in at around 60 kilometers per second or 130,000 miles per hour, which is unexpected for an object of that size, right? I mean, if it's bigger, it's even worse. Its speed is so high that it could not have been acquired through a close pass with any of our solar system's planets. The only explanation for this speed is, if it is a cometary object, of course, would be that it has been drifting through interstellar space for a very long time, organically gaining this momentum. Another curiosity is the object's resistance to being pushed by the escaping gas jets, or what they call its non-gravitational acceleration. Scientists have observed that its acceleration is lower than expected for the object's anticipated level of outgassing as it gets closer to the sun. Scientists say that the only logical way to explain it is to contribute this consistency of speed to 3I Atlas possibly having an extremely heavy nucleus. Ultimately, this characteristic is unlikely for an interstellar object, so the alternative conclusion would be that it its consistency is caused by an internal control of some sort. In addition to its bizarre reflectivity, non-gravitational acceleration, and other unique properties, the object is exhibiting other physical properties of seemingly a mechanical nature. Google says that it shifts trajectory and periodically changes brightness, which also defy standard cometary models. It goes on to say that measurements indicate that it is exhibiting structured variations in its magnetic field rather than random, suggesting that it is performing complex and seemingly programmed electromagnetic processes. What's more is the object also appears to be self-illuminating, glowing from its forward-facing hemisphere. Instead of just reflecting sunlight from the side facing the sun, and no known natural process can explain this phenomenon. Sounds like it has headlights. Now, on October 30th, as 3I Atlas reached its perihelion, which is the point in an object's orbit where it is closest to the sun, it performed a non-gravitational acceleration, just like Oumuamua. But Google states that measurements have detected two uniquely strange forces acting on 3I Atlas that weren't detected on the other. One is a radial component pushing it away from the sun, and the other is a transverse component pushing it to the side, and that neither of those forces could be caused by gravity alone. Since perihelion, it also appears to have brightened dramatically and shifted its color to be more blue than green. This unexpected blue color and rapid brightening have caused much debate, which some suggest it's evidence of natural cometary activity, while others, like Avi Loeb, are proposing it could be a technological signature. There isn't an obvious natural cause for the change in color from green to blue, but either way, the color itself is unusual. You see, a comet's composition generally includes a dust cloud surrounding it. The dust scatters the sunlight and would typically cause it to appear reddish in color. Each of these facts on their own would be enough to make someone question what this interstellar object really is. But when they're all compiled as a whole, it makes even the most skeptical person pause and wonder. While Avi Loeb is the most outspoken scientist evaluating 3I Atlas, others are quietly observing the estimated 33 billion ton object. Recently, the question being posed is, for an object that we still have so many questions about, why is there such an obvious lack of visual data available to the public? They claim that as it has traversed our solar system, there have been opportunities for satellites to capture the object at close range and in higher definition than the images that have been shared with the public. So, why haven't these higher quality photos been shared with the public? The U.S. government has used the current governmental shutdown as their excuse, but many aren't satisfied with that explanation. Something that we all should be taking note of is 3I Atlas's residual effects on the Earth. There aren't very many people discussing the unfortunate side effect of the object's reaching its perihelion. But in short, it has caused a significant increase in solar activity, with powerful CMEs erupting from the face of the solar surface. Luckily, these coronal mass ejections haven't been Earth-facing as of yet, so our electrical devices are safe for now. Of course, with the sun already being in its most active phase in years, this increased solar activity is expected as the object continues on its path beyond the sun. So we'll have to watch and see what happens, possibly even through early December. Researchers say they will continue to analyze data from various space-based instruments, including the GOES 19, SOHO, and the European Space Agency's JUICE spacecraft, to learn more about 3I Atlas's composition and behavior as it continues on its journey. So, one last thing to consider is that some minor news agencies had reported that NASA triggered its defense protocol after 3I Atlas was detected. But NASA is denying this, claiming that they are only using the comet as an opportunity for a, quote, live fire test of, precision tracking. So they're calling it a scientific drill, not an activation of any real defense system. Okay. As for my Christian perspective on the matter, I think I have a very unique opinion. Unlike many in the Christian sphere of influence, I don't think the idea of extraterrestrial intelligence is incompatible with what the Bible teaches. The most influential books I've read regarding this matter were written by the late Dr. Michael Heiser. I can't remember if it was The Unseen Realm or Reversing Hermon, but he was making a point regarding the redistribution of people following the Tower of Babel incident. In case you need a refresher, Nimrod had unified the people to build an access point to heaven, right? And God put an end to this by scattering the people and confusing their language so that they wouldn't be able to very easily conspire in the same way again. And he uses Deuteronomy chapter 32 to state this case, using the English Standard Version. And in verse 8 it reads, "When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of God." So in verse 9, he goes on to explain how he chose for himself out of the desert a people of his own, who later became the people of Israel. But in verse 8, what he's describing is the division of the people of earth after Nimrod, giving them over to their own expressed desires, as God often does, and allowing them the freedom to be governed by the fallen angels who had already been leading them astray, hearkening back to Enoch. The same angels that were described in the book of Enoch as giving forbidden knowledge to God's creation, teaching them of war and witchcraft, among other things. I see it like this. God divides the people and changes their languages, then assigns them each an angelic leader. These groups go on to form the early civilizations of the world, each one worshiping their own little g god and forming their own religion. I know that this isn't anything new. Many people agree with this idea, but I want to take it to the next level. So, what if there was already a precedent for this? I mean, if the book of Enoch describes that these events, as pertaining to the 200 specific angels in the book of Enoch, then couldn't that have happened on an even larger scale? What if Enoch's angels were only a small part of a larger number, being those angels ended up on earth, right? I mean, if a third of the angels were cast out of heaven when Satan fell, are we to believe that God had only created 600 angels? I think not. I think that God had already divided the fallen angels and banished them to locations all across the cosmos, possibly even to create a buffer for his new creation on earth. Seeing as these angels were familiar with God's technology and had witnessed the formation of physics, how long would it take for them to find God's precious creation, the ones created in his own image? So I've been reading the Bible front to back, a few times, and I see nothing in the written text to eliminate the theory that this 3i atlas could be an interstellar machine manned by intelligent entities, fallen angels. I'm just saying. Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to start a conversation about the things your pastor is afraid to talk about. This is Audra Moore, and you're listening to Evil's Ancient Origins. Thanks for listening today, and I hope you catch us again next time when we start another conversation about the things your pastor is afraid to talk about. Look for us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.